Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I actually meant to cover this yesterday, and I have very few actual personal hours in the day, so I didn't get around to it. Um, I really think that you could just listen to the tone of their voice to hear how ugly they are on the inside. So here they are again. First of all, these two are just constantly tearing down progressives, period. They are trying to proclaim themselves to be part of the progressive movement as though they are advocating for the working class and advocating for Medicare for all, and they're not. And I can tell you, I get phone calls from activists in this movement who have trusted Jimmy Dore and liked him for a long time, who are seeing him for what he really is. Mostly because of his COVID misinformation. But I can tell you straight up, you are going to lose a lot of black progressives by doing this bullshit. All right, so let's see how ugly Steph is. Because we already know how ugly Jimmy is, but we usually only hear Steph cackling in the background and interjecting. I did make a criticism about the fact that he wasn't actually putting her on screen sometime like last spring, I think it was. So he's finally putting her on screen. And I guess it kind of makes sense that he was keeping her off screen because she doesn't really have a game face. You can just like see the vitriol and I mean, this is how we live in a sexist society because with somebody like Steph, you see that vitriol come out of her body in her facial expressions, and most people would be immediately repelled by that. But for some reason, there is a sizable following that Jimmy has, despite the fact that he has the exact same qualities emanating from him as well. That when you look at him, he looks like an angry, abusive man who is constantly attacking female candidates. Female candidates who are promoting things that he supposedly agrees with, but he doesn't really.
Yo, Jimmy, Steph, following up about donating to Nina. I agree 100%, but it still breaks my heart. Love Nina. Have you seen the Marianne Williamson and Andrew Yang talk? Future party! Exclamation mark. Silver crown.
Really? Okay. So Andrew Yang is a libertarian. He was a dino. He ran under the Democratic Party simply because he knows that it's a larger and more successful organizing body. But he is a libertarian. And I said that from day one when he started supporting UBI. But I also had made when I was a Bernie Victory, actually it was before I was a Bernie Victory captain. It was, I think, a long time before I was organizing for Bernie, but I wasn't like an actual captain yet. I had discovered that Andrew Yang was on my friends list and that he was actually following several of us throughout the country. That he was regionally spaced out, right, across the country. And so he had been doing research on us basically by following our social media for 2 years before he announced his run for presidency. He was already trying to collect our moods, our talking points, and everything else from us years in advance. He was doing his research on Bernie supporters and organizers specifically, people who actually organize in their communities. Andrew Yang, the minute I saw him promoting universal basic income, I knew he was a libertarian. Because, and this is the thing too, like even my project partner who was like, yeah, UBI is a great idea. And I see a lot of progressives like push that out. UBI is not a great idea because you're it's just another form of trickle down economics. You're basically just giving people cash and you're not giving them what they actually need, which are the social services that they need, such as healthcare, mental health services, quality, community improvement type services. We actually need to be investing in these areas that would improve our communities and employ people and really limit our UBI type programs to the people who are incapable of participating in the economy, disabled or mentally diminished somehow, like whether it's like dementia or something, or you have some sort of special needs going on. That's really where that type of UBI becomes more effective. But when it comes to everybody else, you have to give us the opportunity to be able to actually earn money for a living in a safe way that's not going to risk our health, and in a way that we're not so overworked that we have no personal time and we're stressed out all the time, right? So that's where the social programs come in, is that we have to be fighting for working class rights, that we're not going to get overworked. And this is what I've been working on with Unite Here for a long time now, trying to get these measures on the ballot to improve working conditions for the employees. But we have to do that on a massive scale. And that's where we need to really support and build up union representation within this country. But these folks they're never going to tell you solutions like that, because that's not what they do. These are libertarians.
Back to Jimmy.
Here we go. So, at this show, our policy is you have to stop donating and voting for Democrats. You have to stop donating to them and stop voting for them.
Really,
And the only reason he's saying that is because he is on the payroll of Nick Brana and the Movement for the People's Party. I don't think this guy really even cares what party you're registered to. He just has his own sort of belief system of, how can I grift you next? How can I get you to just listen to me and keep my follower base up?
monopoly.
Yeah, I mean that goes without saying to the Republican Party too. And you have to vote third party. Vote if you vote Libertarian or whatever. You got to vote for a third party. I'm voting for the People's Party. And hopefully they can get ballot access. The rules are set up to keep third parties off the ballot. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully I'll have a third party to vote for. If I can't vote for the People's Party, I'll vote for another third party like I always do now. So, because things will never change until, at least for one election cycle, you have to stop donating and stop voting for Democrats.
This is exactly the point of the video, is that he does not want to see progressives get into the party and actually make positive changes. Whereas those of us who are actually following Bernie's advice to enter and reform the party realize that a lot of the people who have been advocating the third way shit that the Clintons introduced in the 90s, that a lot of those people are really sunsetting and getting to the point where they're so old that they can no longer participate. So we know that we're actually in a good time frame right now to actually make real changes. And for those of us who actually participate in these meetings, we see those changes firsthand happening. We see them at the conventions. We see them in our central committees. We see them. And every time we have a win, you have knuckleheads like Jimmy Dore saying it's not enough, which is why he did the whole force the vote bullshit. Because he's just like, he's going so over the top that he wants it to be ridiculous. He wanted McCarthy to become Speaker of the House. He really did.
At least for one election cycle. This would be a good one to do it.
No, I really wouldn't. The two of you are so disgusting.